Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Sagittarius is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. It is totally free, does not cost anything. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Sagittarius, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. Here is a Three of Cups. This is a joyous, joyous card. You have a wonderful sense of gratitude about you. I think that you really understand that being kind and being jovial, being joyous, and being grateful and gracious really does attract more of the same to you, right? The Three of Cups is attracting another Three of Cups, and then you get the Six of Cups. You get the pleasure and the beauty and the joy and the perfect harmony of life, where the world around you mirrors your attitude. You understand frequency, don't you? You're a kind of positive person, not just like forcing yourself to be positive, but I think that you really understand your own vibrations and your own frequency, and I think you understand that, like, if you're feeling a low vibe in a particular day, you're not really trying to send that out to the world, okay? When you're feeling a low vibe, you kind of do the self-care, you maybe double down on your gratitude practice when you're feeling low, because you want to raise your vibration back up again. This is a well-tuned, it kind of looks like one of those tuning forks, you know, for musical instruments. Kind of also looks like a dowsing rod, where you're able to identify and find and attract and unite and harmonize with other very high-frequency individuals. Okay? Now, this message coming through that there's a sensitivity to sunlight or something. Yeah, or you sunburn easily or something like that. But there's a sun sensitivity. Yeah. You're a kind person. I think you enjoy spending time with friends and family. You know how to make good memories. I think you know how to throw a party. I think that you have more concern for other people's enjoyment than for your own. You would be the one at the party who's going around making sure everybody like has what they want. You need a refill on your drink, or did you get enough food? Are you warm enough? Do you want a sweater? Like, do you want to sit down? I think it really makes you feel good when you make other people feel good. Yeah. Let's put this into some context. Let's see what's going on for you. This is high vibes, really high vibe. And we got a 4. We got a 7. A lot of vibes here. We have a Princess of Pentacles, a Tower, and we have an Aeon card. Interesting. Very interesting. Here we have a Knight of Cups, a 9 of Cups, a 10 of Cups, and a 9 of Swords. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Even the 9 of Swords, let's not despair about the Tower or the 9 of Swords. It does not mean that here you are being a very happy-go-lucky person and then, wham, Spirit's going to give you some divine wrath. No, it doesn't work that way. I think that you're somebody who you can stay positive even in challenging circumstances. I think that's kind of your superpower, right? Is that you don't get dragged down into despair when there's a challenge. I think that you have a positive attitude, a positive vibration, especially when there's a challenge. Because you know what it's like to be depressed. You know what it's like to be in despair. You know what it's like to suffer. Okay? And so I think that you have this ability to tune yourself to a higher vibration, and I think that you have this desire to heal the world. I think that you're meant to be a positive influence on others, and to heal others in some way through your gift. Your gift is the gift of healing. You're a natural healer, okay? You're somebody who, by your very presence, you make other people feel better. You have to be careful, though, with that, right? Not to take on too many burdens of other people's, too many of other people's emotions, to where you kind of walk out of the room feeling kind of cruddy, and you're like, wait a minute, is that my feeling? Or is that somebody else's, you know? But you have a lot of water energy here. You're someone that feels things very, very deeply. Now, this message is coming through about cold hands and cold feet sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes we get the cold hands. And it may be connected with a psychic event for you. It may be that you get cold hands whenever there's somebody around that is kind of in a low vibrational, energy. I think you feel that with, literally feel that in your hands or something. Yeah. Let me know what that is if that's yours. Let's select our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set this down right over here with our little dove right there on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end. It will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card is, put your prediction in the comments right below this video. Now, before we dive in, we do need to summon your spirit animal. And for you, Sagittarius, what we have is the frog spirit, clear out the clutter. Yes, because when we have a Seven of Cups, it kind of feels to me like we got to pull some weeds. Okay, and I think that's part of this need for boundaries for you, because there's all of this emotional sensitivity. And there is a tendency for you to take on too much of other people's energy. Okay, I think clearing out the clutter is it's going to be a good thing emotionally for you to clear out that clutter. Okay, limiting your exposure to people that aren't responding to your vibrations, or that have a tendency to be in that low vibrational state. I think there's a desire for you to heal and help everybody. There needs to be a limit to that so that you don't become negatively or adversely affected through that process. Okay, it's kind of like a doctor or a nurse or even like a therapist or something that they have to keep a little bit of an emotional distance between people. Otherwise, they end up going home with all of this emotional energy. It's the emotional residue. Okay. Let me know what you think about the frog, and maybe you've been literally cleaning out the clutter or clearing the clutter from your house. Maybe that's that closet or that part of the garage or that, whatever it is, cleaning out the basement or the attic or something. Maybe physically you've been doing something like that. And I think that, has a correspondence, obviously, on the inner planes. When we organize something in the external world, we're simultaneously organizing something inside. Okay? When we're clearing out the clutter in the closet, we're clearing out some clutter in our heart mind. Okay? In your soul, in your aura. Yeah, your aura shines really, really brightly. And I think it also sometimes can get dim. You're prone to really high highs and some really low lows. You're learning stability. You're learning to be emotionally level instead of being, instead of sinking with the storm. When life gets challenging or when there are challenging people around you, you don't want to sink into despair. You stay steady. Okay, and even, I think, more positive, more upbeat, more cheerful than most, I think you're a very good friend. Yeah, you're a very good friend. This spirit wants someone to know that there's an old watch that your family member gave to you. And I don't know if you misplaced it or you haven't thought about it in a while. But Spirit is referencing that watch. It's like stuffed in a drawer somewhere, or it's in a closet, or it's hidden in a dark place, okay? And I don't know why, but Spirit wants you to go and find that sometime soon, okay? You need to spend more time alone, preferably out in nature, communing with nature. That's going to be helpful for you to restore your equanimity, your emotional balance. All right. Well, let's look around the room. We do see two major arcana energies. The Tower, which is a radical change. It is a spiritual awakening. This is a spiritual awakening. The Eon card, the Judgment card. To me, it feels like you are someone very capable of abruptly changing your life. You have this ability to change course, like to turn on a dime. You know, you have the ability to pivot in your life in just extraordinary ways. I think that you've had to cut people off before. You know your worth, you know your value. You've had to say no to people. You've had to say, see you later. I think that you truly do invest in people. If you invest in the wrong person, I think you're willing to say, okay, that was the wrong thing, and then you move. I think there's like, you're not putting up with any kind of BS right now. Yeah. So we've got our two majors. We don't have any fire energy right now, and I think it's really it's really this like this overwhelming like feeling energy, like your intuition is really strong right now, and like your emotion, you're really sensitive to these emotions right now. We have a very little bit of air and a very little bit of earth. It's just water, 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 water. 6 water cards. Okay. It kind of feels like we're drowning in emotions right now. Feels like what we need is just like some fresh air. So we need some oxygen. We need to breathe. We need some time away from all of this intensity. Okay. You're this three of cups. You mean well. You want to help and heal everybody, but you can't. Okay, that's just it. You can't help everybody. You can't please everybody. You can't heal everybody. You can't fix everything. Okay, there's a desire in you to fix everything. When you were young, you were the kid who like tried to make sure everybody was okay. Like, I don't know if you kind of got in between your parents fighting or something, and you were always trying to get everything back to a peaceful state. Yeah. Sometimes you may have even negotiated your own authenticity in order to maintain peace. Yeah. I think you're very much willing to give of yourself in order to in order to bring about like the stability and the harmony and the safety and all that sort of thing, the togetherness in life. Yeah. You're a very creative person, very generous person, and you do truly want the best for everybody. You want everybody to heal. You want everybody to be happy. Yeah. What we have is the difference here between happiness and unhappiness. You know, happiness and sorrow are not different in kind, just different in degree, different in the quality, right? It's a spectrum. And it's one where, you have to decide how much you're willing to suffer for the sake of your ideal, okay? And where you need to kind of draw the line. Like, where are you on this spectrum of happiness and sorrow? Happiness and misery, let's say. Okay? And for one, you cannot sacrifice your happiness for the sake of everybody else, right? And it doesn't have to be that black and white. I think that's the point of having these two cards here. Because it's like, here, if everybody else is happy, then you're miserable. Or if we switch them, okay, now everybody else is miserable, but you're happy. Well, that's not going to work. Either way we flip it, it's not happening. Okay, that's not going to work for you. So I think this is a good time for you to understand where you are currently on that spectrum, and what you're not willing to put up with, and what you are kind of willing to suffer and sacrifice for the sake of others. The 4 of Cups here, this is like This is somebody who's trying to become a little bit more detached, a little bit more not so heavily influenced by other people's feelings. Yeah. Where if somebody else is having a bad day, somebody else is in a bad mood, somebody else is in some low vibrational energy, that you don't have to become that way too. Or that even that you're not responsible for fixing that in other people. Yeah. That you, if somebody, if your friend or your coworker or somebody is having a bad day and they're just in a really negative space, you do what you can to lift their spirits, right? But you're not responsible for them feeling that way. And so you don't have to take it on as your burden. And that would be our 9 of Swords there at the end, and even some of the emotional residue of the 7. I think you're an empath. You feel other people's feelings very deeply, especially now. Who is the person that's doing this? Who is the one near you right now that's making this kind of energy more prominent in you? Okay? It's not about blame. It's not about trying to identify the cause of something, but to recognize that, yeah, you're in a very sensitive place right now. And a little bit of detachment is going to be good for you. Okay? This is somebody who is trying to be a little bit more, not distant really, but a little bit detached the way a doctor or a nurse or a surgeon or something or a therapist would be detached. Still with love and compassion and empathy, but also having a bit of a boundary that says, I'm not going to take on all of your negative emotions. I'm certainly not going to take it home with me. I'm not going to confuse the two. Where do I end and you begin kind of thing. Yeah. So this is having kind of a clear demarcation between your emotional body and the other person's emotional body. I don't know if it's a family member, a friend, something like that. Okay. I do want to give a big shout out to everybody that's watching this on the website. I see you and I appreciate you. All right. Down beneath the surface, of course, is our 7 of Cups, and this is what you might not know about yourself is that some of your moods, some of your feelings are not yours. And sometimes this is the emotional residue that we take on from other people, other sources, just throughout the day. Strangers even, right? You're walking around picking up vibrations from everybody, from the world around you. You're sending out your positive frequency, okay, just by your mere presence. I feel like you're somebody like you, and it kind of is one of these concentration gradients, okay? When you're bringing a high vibration into a low vibrational situation, there's a tendency for the energy to equalize. Just like in physiology, the concentration kind of gradients. An area of high concentration meets an area of low concentration, and an equilibrium will be established. And the problem is, I think that in the emotional world, it kind of can go the other way. We're really looking for that balance and that centeredness. The issue seems to be that, yes, you take this positive frequency into a low frequency situation, your vibrations will drop. Okay? And you feel that. And so you're really, like I said, you're susceptible to the highs and the lows. And I think that there is the kind of a fortification that's needed now to prevent some of this from happening, whether this is like learning to be a little bit more detached. Let's say you are a healer, maybe you do energy work, Reiki, acupuncture, some kind of crystal healing, energy healing, or physical medicine, whatever you're doing, physical therapy, maybe you're a psychoanalyst or whatever. Learning to have a little bit of that detachment. It may be that you're in a more high pressure kind of occupation. Like you could be in law enforcement or military, or you could be a first responder. You could be an emergency medicine type of person, right? Where there is kind of a high rate of people who take on too much of the emotional burden from their days, right? and then they kind of take it home with them, you know. And that's why this card is under the surface here, because it is this emotional residue that sticks to us in these kinds of situations. So I feel like right now it's important for you to question boundaries. The frog spirit still applies, clearing out some of that clutter. Okay. And I think finding moments where you can have peace in your life. Okay. The message coming through is that you don't need to fix everything. You don't need to fix everyone, or you don't need to heal everyone. Okay. Spirit saying that you've not been sleeping very well lately. Okay. And Spirit is highlighting a connection with some person that tends to drain your energy. It's almost there is this emotional vampire, psychic vampire kind of vibe. The Seven of Cups, yes, it's sometimes we need to pull the weeds. Okay, sometimes there are people in our lives that we need to either find a boundary, find a way to not be so connected energetically, or even someone that we may need to limit our contact with for the time being, maybe permanently. That's for your discernment. Okay. This can manifest as not so much an apathy, but like nothing. Not that, like, I don't know, let's say you're looking in the refrigerator, and it's not that you're looking at all this food and you're just thinking, man, you know what, nothing really sounds good. Instead, we're kind of looking in the fridge and we think everything makes me want to throw up. You know, like a different type of energy. This is the apathy. This is like nothing sounds good. I'm not emotionally connected with any of this food. Nothing is physically kind of making me want to eat it. This is like I'm rejecting everything. Okay, because everything seems like a swamp. And this, I think, is it's important to recognize that this happens to us usually without our awareness. That things that once interested you now kind of repulse you. It's just the thought of, reading a book or the thought of going for a walk just makes me, This is a very intuitive person, though. And you may not realize this about yourself, but when you listen to your feelings, I think your feelings are very clear. And I think that you can walk into the room and you can feel like your energy just gets sucked out of you. And I think there is a particular person. Okay. Spirit is referencing a mug that you drink that's chipped or cracked or broken, but you still drink out of it. I don't know if you've cut your lip on it or not, but it's kind of like you're still doing it. You're still using the mug, even though it's kind of got that sharp edge. Yeah. Spirit is highlighting a particular outdoor place that you can go to feel better, to recharge, to kind of like purge this emotional energy. Yeah. Your intuition is telling you and I think your intuition obviously works through your emotions. So like when you walk into a room and you start to feel like all these negative emotions, right? Or even this sadness, and maybe it even works through you physically, where you just really kind of get that knot in your stomach. That's your intuition. That's a message from Spirit. Okay. And this card highlights your ability to really see the vibes. Like you don't see people's faces, you feel their energy. You're very sensitive to frequency. Maybe you haven't always been that way. Maybe you never considered yourself all that sensitive. But right now, this sensitivity is very active and it's heightened. Now, in the background with the Princess of Pentacles, I feel like this is you in a phase of like very physical energy. Okay, I almost wonder if there's kind of I almost feel like there's a disconnect from the body going on here. Like there's just, I don't know, something is taking you out of the physical, sort of physical space. Yeah. This is a person who is motivated and very capable of manifesting and really just able to kind of like produce things, right? Just popping out, results left and right, very capable. And this is still you. But I wonder if there's this demotivated kind of vibe right now. Okay? This is somebody who has potential, is somebody that's like making moves and like making things happen and really manifesting results, getting results. Yeah, producing like a physical, progress, some tangible results in something. And then the earth energy's gone. Then there's no more of it. We don't see it anymore. Okay? I think it's a very emotional time in your life that has kind of taken over prominence and has pushed even your physical self, your physical body awareness, pushed it into the background. And even your goals in life and the things in life that you're trying to produce, the potential that you're trying to realize in the external world, the brick and mortar world of concrete reality, those kinds of goals have even faded into the background. Because this emotional situation is taking precedence. I think something does need to change. Okay? Because it feels as if you have, and I don't know, maybe you got some in-laws that are staying with you, or it is a friend or a quote-unquote friend or family member that is draining you in this way, or making you feel as if like you're responsible for their mood all the time. And so I feel like there's some relationship that's taking place in your life that is kind of draining your soul away. Mystery card probably will be an 8 of Cups. Yeah. The Tower up above here, your superpower is your ability to change like that. Your ability to pivot on a dime. You have a concern for the world. You don't want your actions to have a shockwave effect and to cause some collateral damage or to cause any inconvenience on other people. Okay? But this superpower is your ability to say, nope, done, cutting it off right out like a Band-Aid. Okay? The abrupt change, the radical change, you're capable of this. You're capable of radically changing your life. What you may not know about yourself is really how intuitive or how accurate your gut feeling is. You got a gut feeling, boom, you act on it. This is alignment. And yeah, it's going to affect other people. If you set a boundary with a boundaryless person, they're going to get pissed off. Yeah, they're going to get pissed off. But that's not a reason for you to not make the changes that you need to make. Okay? The message is coming through very strongly for me. You can't accept misery for the sake of somebody else's happiness. Okay? Even though that seems like a very selfless thing to do. I'll go ahead and be miserable as long as you're happy. It doesn't have to be that way. You know what I mean? It's kind of saying, you know what? I'm going to go be happy. You can be happy too. But just do it somewhere far away from here. I think there is a revelation here. The Tower shows the third eye's opening. The dove is descending. The grace, the divine blessing is here. And of course, the serpent, the solar snake of transformation and awakening is here. This is a moment of intense clarity for you. Comes in a flash, hits you like a lightning bolt. And it's just, to me, it feels, I'm done. It doesn't seem like it's involving a whole lot of thought. It's a revelation. It's not a logical, conscious, well, let me just kind of do the math. It's not a math problem. There's no math here at all, right? We don't see a lick of math. Even the Nine of Swords is not math. Okay? We got feelings, 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 feelings. All kind of pointing toward, well, we kind of have like, we have positive, positive, positive feelings. And we have neutral, negative, negative feelings. So it's positive, negative emotions, right? And that's kind of represented, again, by the polarity of the 9 and the 9. I'm either going to get happier or I'm going to get more miserable. The pendulum is either going to swing toward more happiness and contentment and pleasure and love and abundance, or it's going to swing toward more misery and pain and suffering and sorrow. One or the other. Okay? And it doesn't mean that we have to accept one extreme or the other. I think going forward, becoming the judgment, becoming the one who can pass judgment on something, right? Because this is the judgment card, also called the eon card, telling me that you're moving into a new eon of your life. It's a new version of you waiting on the other side of this, a version that doesn't have to just put up with psychic vampires, a version of you that does not have to sacrifice their own happiness for someone else's, someone who does not have to just say, I'll be miserable so you can be happy. You know, it's like we only have one of each, okay? I can't give all of you the 9 of Cups, so one of you is going to have to take the 9 of Swords, right? No, it doesn't work that way. Right? It's not like, okay, you're kind of debating with your best friend. It's like, which one are you going to take? Let's draw straws for who has to be miserable so the other person can be happy. Let's not do that. This is a decision. When you become the judge and you pass judgment on something, it's final. You're judging the situation and you're going through this doorway and you're shutting the door on the past. This is a decision. It's a judgment that you're passing. It's a value judgment, a relative value judgment. You're judging something either impish or admirable, right? Either this is good for me or it's not. And in that sense, I think it is kind of black and white. It is like it's not vague. It's not nuanced. It's either this is someone who is uplifting in your life and someone that you want to have around, or they're not. This is a definite decision. And stepping through this doorway is you declaring that you're an autonomous, sovereign, independent person. Mystery card might be the Queen of Wands, That'd be your superpower card. And it also is kind of like just this fiery, independent person that's saying, I don't need the negative people in my life. I'll be alone if I have to, than be with the wrong thing, the wrong person, the wrong, dynamic. So the Eon card is truly this kind of spiritual awakening, and it's asking you to step forward into a new version of yourself. We will go deeper into that idea in the extended reading for channel members and Patreon members, okay? I think you really are an independent person. Okay, I don't think that you typically accept other people's opinions or their vibes. Like, you really have you have a core identity. And I think right now there is just this boundary, this detachment, that you're trying to become someone who worries less about what other people think and how they feel. Okay, and maybe it worries you that you're going to become kind of cold. You're someone that wants everybody to be okay. You want to heal everybody. But like the doctor or surgeon or the energy worker knows, the empath knows, you cannot heal everybody at the expense of your own healing. So the 4 of Cups, this is who you're trying to become, someone who's a little bit more detached. A little bit less. And, if there is a big decision that you need to make in life, if there is a judgment that you need, if there is some pivot, some abrupt radical change that you want to make, that you need to make for yourself, you need to be a little bit detached from worrying how your decision is going to affect everybody else. You don't want it to inconvenience anybody, but it's something you might have to do for yourself. Okay. Now, Path of the Serpent. By the way, hit that like button if this is resonating with you. Okay. The Knight of Cups, of course, is your general energy. Giving, giving, giving. Your heart is going out to the world. You're in service to the world. You're the person who is kind and caring and uplifting. When somebody else is feeling low, you're trying to raise them up. I'm being shown an image of you bringing food to people that are sick. Putting yourself in harm's way to make somebody else's day a little bit better. Don't ignore the red flags. Okay? Don't lose connection with yourself because you are so busy giving things and giving yourself and giving your energy to others. Being of service to the world, again, you kind of have like this Mother Teresa type of energy. Okay? But it's kind of like this, it's a dynamic where almost like there's this perceived obligation toward you sacrificing your own needs to make sure somebody else is taken care of. Okay? This is supposed to be reciprocity. The Knight of Cups is supposed to be the giving and receiving of love and affection. But what if this is you giving your heart, you know, whatever, you've got this crab curry in your bowl here, and you're feeding everybody else, but then when your bowl's empty, it's like they don't give back to you. Yeah. Spirit is highlighting a family member that has like, they were in a war, or they were military personnel or something, and like, you remember their story. Like they would tell you stories about their time in the war. I don't know which one. But Spirit's highlighting that family member for you. Okay. Now, in the environment, in the relationships, there is that, you know, that Nine of Cups is happiness. This is a happiness that is available to you. This is the life, this is you pursuing your bliss, pursuing your happiness, and living the life that you're meant to live. Okay? There is a radical change that needs to take place in order for this to become your reality and your relationship. Okay? Again, this is the increasing, the accumulation of good vibes, good people, good vibrations, loving people, contentment. It is all the abundance of the universe that you are attracting to yourself. You know, because you have this high vibrational energy in you, because you're always trying to vibrate at a very high frequency, you're attracting all of the wonderful abundance to you. There's a counteracting force with these low vibrations attracting more low vibrational energy and low vibrational people to you. I think the Four of Cups here is trying not to let your vibrations sink when you're confronted with people that, you know, that will tank your vibes, you know. And that's where the Tower kind of comes in, and the major arcana of the Eon card, clearing out that clutter, pulling the weeds to minimize your exposure to these low vibrational people. Now you can't clear out all the clutter. Okay? So you get rid of what you can, and then you fortify yourself against the rest, so that the negative the negative people around you won't lower your vibration, so you can continue attracting love and beauty and pleasure and delight and bliss and abundance into your life. And you can become happier and happier and happier. Okay? Now, you have an ideal. You want the entire world. You want the whole kingdom to be happy. You want it to be a perfect world, but it can't be. Okay? And that is such a wonderful quality that you have. Like you want it to be a perfect world. And you want everybody to be happy and healthy and well fed. You want everybody to have abundance. Yeah. Big shout out to everybody that sends in the super thanks to the channel. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, your generosity does not go unnoticed. Well, even in that instance, you can't keep giving and giving and giving if it doesn't leave you with enough. Because despite your efforts, Sagittarius, and I know you're a very capable person, you cannot make the world a perfect place. Okay? Your high vibrational energy is not sufficient to cure the world of its ills. And you need to try, of course. You need to keep sending out your good vibes, but to know that it's going to be imperfect. This is the ideal this is the dream life that we want. This is the perfect world that we want to experience. We cannot actually achieve this. We can get pretty darn close. And we need to keep working toward this. Okay? But understanding that some things we just cannot attach ourselves to. Some energies we just can't let that energy in. You know, it's like you got vampires at your door. You do not have to invite them in. Right? Isn't that the vampire lore, that they can't enter your house unless they're invited? Don't invite them in. When we invite them in, that's when we start feeling this way. This is the feeling like, I know there's a vampire at my door. This is the feeling when you let them in. You are torn to shreds. They drink your blood, right? Look at the bloody, swords there. So I feel that there are those types of forces around you, and I think that, like, you have this ideal where you give people the benefit of the doubt. You really do want the best for everyone, and to be honest, some people don't deserve you. Okay? And so we need a little bit of that fiery fortification that just says, I can say no. I can say no to people. I can close the door. I don't have to answer the door at all. I certainly don't have to invite them in. Because the world is not ever going to be a perfect place. Yeah. The Nine of Swords is the kind of this destiny that we don't have to have this. This doesn't have to manifest. This does not have to be your destiny, where you are suffering for the sake of everybody else's happiness. Okay. There is a spectrum. There will be days where maybe the pendulum is swinging a little bit toward the misery and away from the happiness a little bit. We can do what we can do to minimize that swing. Okay? You can feel the really high highs of life, but you don't have to feel the really low lows. That's when you have to detach a little bit from the circumstances so that you don't sink into that Nine of Swords. We don't want to go from a really high to the lowest of the low. We need something to catch us before we sink all the way to the bottom. Otherwise, we're just going up and down and up and down in that volatility of life. We can go all the way up to the highest, euphoria and bliss that we can possibly, tolerate. But then we can sink down and we can just kind of cut it off at a certain point. We don't have to feel that extreme end of the emotional spectrum. It doesn't mean we're denying how we feel. On the contrary, I think we're recognizing how we're feeling and we're doing something about it before we sink down into that kind of extreme despair. Okay. Let's look at our mystery card. Either a magician or maybe an Ace of Wands. Maybe the Queen of Wands. Let's see. Well, it's a Queen of Swords. Okay, that's good. This is a very independent person, and it's a Queen of Swords, so it's water and air. It's you understanding your emotions and making a very logical, wise, objective judgment. You know, it is you passing judgment on somebody, and not just kind of not reacting to your emotions, but really having a clear head. It's your ability to, the advice here from Spirit is to step back from the situation, because when you're in the middle of all these feelings, it might be hard for you to kind of to think about, like, what the heck am I supposed to do? Take a step back from everything. Look at your life objectively and say, what changes, what radical changes maybe do I need to make in order to have, you know, in order to keep my vibes high, you know, in order to keep my life, the quality of life going in the right direction, you know, up and to the right. This is that bird's eye view. This is that objectivity. What's the clutter I got to clear out of my life in order to improve the quality of my life? And now we're going to do an extended reading for channel members and Patreon members, so please click on the link in the corner or in the video description. New readings for Sagittarius Wednesdays and Sundays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.